Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be answering the question of why Joe Biden is so popular among Democratic and Democratic leaning voters, and why so many Democrats want him to run for president and take on Donald Trump. I really wanted to discuss this CNN poll that really answers all these questions that a lot of people have, especially on the internet where I have a lot of more progressive leaning viewers, and I wanted to really explain the idea of a Joe Biden presidency, why Joe Biden is very popular. And just take a look at this. More than 6 in 10 Democratic and Democratic leaning voters say former Vice President Joe Biden should make a run for president, according to a new CNN poll. And so as Donald Trump remains a relatively unpopular candidate, many Democrats and independents are looking for a way out of the Donald Trump administration, and Joe Biden seems to be their answer. Support for a Joe Biden bid is higher among Democratic voters this year. Take a look at this, guys. In 2015, only around 47 to 50% of Democratic voters supported a Joe Biden presidency. Well, guess what? In January 30th to February 2nd, so essentially in this month, more Democratic voters support a Joe Biden presidency than they don't. Take a look at this. 62% want him to enter the 2020 Democratic race. 28% say he should not, and 10% have no opinion. And so what's pretty much clear is a majority of Democrats like Joe Biden and they want him to run for president. Well, let's take a look at more data. Why is Joe Biden so popular? Well, he gets a boost from white Democrats without a college degree. And hold on right there, guys. This is probably the most critical point of this article. And that's because white Democrats without a college degree broke for Donald Trump. If Joe Biden can win this group right here, or at least increase his margins, Donald Trump will essentially lose a part of his coalition and will certainly be defeated in a general election. And this is probably one of the most important points for a Joe Biden presidency, because Joe Biden has the support among key Trump groups, and by having that support, he can defeat Donald Trump by taking Trump's voters. And so let's also take a look at some of the other support he gets. He gets around 52% of whites with degrees and women as well. And take a look at this. 66% of women say he should run versus 58% of men. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, Joe Biden is not going to do well with women. I mean, take a look at this. 2/3 of women want Joe Biden to run for the presidency. And I think this makes sense because a lot of people tend to forget that women make up a majority of the Democratic Party, that the Democratic base tends to be women over the age of 40 and women of color over the age of 40. And these women tend to be more moderate to liberal, and many of them can be either conservative to moderate. And so you have a lot of diversifying views, and they relatively do support Joe Biden, which is, something that a lot of Democrats forget. Another thing that's very important is what are Democrats prioritizing? And it seems they're prioritizing beating Donald Trump for 2020 candidates. See what's on the top of the list for the priorities of Democratic voters. Has a good chance of beating Donald Trump, has the right experience for president, has been consistent on issues over the years, and right here is willing to work with Republicans to get things done. And take a look at the bottom two. Can bring an outsider perspective. So Democrats definitely don't want an outsider. And take a look at this. Hold progressive positions on the issues. It's literally on the bottom of the list, meaning most Democrats could give a crap that your candidate actually has a progressive position. And so what this means is many moderate candidates are actually going to be quite popular in this Democratic primary. And Joe Biden is considered to be more moderate to liberal. He's kind of in between that group. And so personally, most Democrats are okay with that. In fact, they do still support Joe Biden despite him not being that progressive. And it really highlights why, progressives are currently having some problems. The entire Democratic Party is not progressive after all. It's a coalition of conservative, moderate, corporate, establishment, and progressive voters. And so obviously when you have such a big coalition, you're going to have a lot of different views. Biden also has the benefit of being from the Obama administration. A lot of African Americans support Joe Biden because of his association and relationship with Obama. And he also has the most name recognition among all the 2020 candidates who have announced. And so that's basically the biggest factor in why Joe Biden continues to poll very well. Let's just take a look at some polling real quick. And if we search up Joe Biden here, we can see which polls he does well in. And if we take a look here, in this scenario with Howard Schultz, Donald Trump, and Biden, Biden wins by 5 points. If it's Biden v. Trump, Biden wins by 7. In this scenario where all the Democrats end up losing to Donald Trump except for Joe Biden, and this is in the state of Iowa, guys. So Joe Biden can actually pull off a win in the state of Iowa. If we look at more polls, we can see Biden defeats Donald Trump by 7 points. If you put Howard Schultz into the equation, Biden defeats him by 5 points. If you look at Michigan, Biden wins Michigan by 13 points. And just more and more polls show a consistent trend of Biden defeating Donald Trump. Just take a look at this one, Biden plus 12. And so obviously Trump essentially does very poorly when he's up against someone like Joe Biden. And this is probably the biggest reason as to why, Joe Biden is well positioned to become the Democratic nominee. When every media outlet talks about polls, the number one person on that poll is always Joe Biden, and this helps Democratic voters understand, okay, so this guy is polling the best and he probably has the best chance of defeating Donald Trump, so I'm going to support him. And that's the thinking of numerous Democrats in the Democratic Party. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys next time.